Employee of the Year, Episode 1, Chapter 3. Mr. Krautwasser's eyes narrowed. "Did you hear what I said?" Chet shook his head. His ears rang. "I'm not sure." Mr. Krautwasser nodded. "It's all right, Chet. Look at me. Are you listening? Here it is again. We won't be able to get you home for at least 3 years. "Oh," said Chet. He returned his gaze to the chandelier and tried to absorb the data. "Oh," he repeated. He looked at the CEO. "I thought maybe it would be like flying to work each day through a cosmic wormhole or, something." "If only things were that simple, Chet, my boy." The CEO sipped his drink and sat forward. "We're working with an alien contractor who is handling the logistics and subcontracting, so I can't promise to know all the details. Here's what I can tell you right now. We're opening our first office on a passenger transport that circuits through a portion of the galaxy. Think of it like a bus route in space, only this bus is about the size of Des Moines. In a few days, the transport will be arriving here to pick up passengers. About 3 years later, it will return." Chet realized that he had gone back to staring at the chandelier. Too much could happen in 3 years. "What's the holdup, Chet?" asked the CEO. "We haven't got long to sit around and think about this. The last shuttle flies out in 3 days, and I want you on your way in 2. Chet couldn't quite say it. "Why don't I allure you with a few of the benefits? First and foremost, I'm bumping your hourly wage by 30%. I'm sure you'll agree that is no small boost. Am I right?" He laughed and slapped Chet on the knee. "And it gets better. We're providing you with a cabin and a closet full of appropriate attire. When you go into work each day, you'll look clean and professional. Your job, for the most part, will be to look pretty for our galactic audience. You're there to say, 'I am human, and I am Burger Zone.'" "That sounds good." Good. That's what I like to hear." The CEO removed a plastic pen from another pocket and placed it atop the folded piece of paper. "Please, sign the document. Ease the stress on this tired old man's heart." Chet glanced at the paper, but didn't move. The CEO tapped the glass table with a knuckle. "You'll have to forgive the pen. I stole it from the front desk, but I must admit it does feel surprisingly good in one's hand. Care to test it out?" "Okay," said Chet. He studied the pen, but left it untouched. "There's more, isn't there?" the CEO asked. "Something you aren't telling me." "Maybe," admitted Chet. "Then let's have it out. You could consider me a master at solving problems." "I'm okay with being gone for 3 years," Chet said. "I just had some plans." "And you can't postpone those plans?" Chet shook his head. "I don't know." The CEO lowered his chin. "Mr. Eubanks, I would guess that this was about a girl, except I did my research on you. I know for a fact that you aren't in a relationship and have never been in a relationship." Chet looked back up at the chandelier. "Not yet," he said, "but I'm working on that." "So you are a romantic after all," grumbled the CEO. "Who is this love of your life, if you don't mind me asking?" Now that the core of the issue is out in the open, Chet felt less hesitant about divulging details. "Remember Steve, my manager?" The CEO scowled. "I do, and may I remind you that romantic entanglements with superiors are forbidden by the 10 Commandments of Burger Zone." "No, it's not him. It's his, daughter." "The manager's daughter," the CEO gasped. His face was an open-mouthed mixture of scandal and delight. "Let me convey a piece of wisdom. Romance is overrated, especially at your age. You only just graduated high school, for Christ's sake. You're better off living your life and experiencing the world, or in your case, the universe, than settling down." Chet scowled, but he understood the CEO's logic. "My plans are pretty important to me," he meant to say, but he concluded with detailed. Chet slumped in his chair. "Of course they are. Never forget that I, too, experienced the spell of youth and hormones." Mr. Krautwasser resumed, tapping the glass table. Chet knew that he needed to sign the paper. He didn't need a price tag to figure that he would never afford a starship at his current wage. From the beginning, he intended his job to be nothing more than a stepping stone toward his dreams. This opportunity catapulted him into space. He could learn the ropes. He would save every intergalactic penny. His own starship could come next. Chet's hands fidgeted in his lap. He wanted to sign. He needed to sign. He knew that it wouldn't be easy. but he needed to scratch Beatrix out of his fantasies. Chet took a deep, slow breath and prepared to reach for the pen. Mr. Krautwasser leaned back in his chair. "Listen," the man sighed. "You're the man for this job. I feel it in my bones. This means that I'm willing to negotiate." "You are?" Chet asked. He shifted his attention away from the pen and back to the CEO. "Of course. I'm a man of business, after all. Though I suppose you could also say that you have me by the gonads. I have great things planned for this specific position. Great things. And I don't have time to vet anybody else. So let me ask you this. What do I need to do to get you to sign this contract?" "Well," Chet said as he again shifted mindsets, "what about a shuttle or something for weekend trips back home?" The CEO howled with laughter and continued laughing for as long as it took his hand to bring the tumbler to his lips for another sip. He hummed as he drank. The CEO set down the tumbler, cleared his throat, and said, "No." "Oh," said Chet. "I would if I could, Chet, my boy, but I don't think you understand the scale of the galaxy, or how long it would take to get you home on a ship of any size. Hell, not even I know, and I've been at this with our alien contractors for quite some time. Why don't we talk real possibilities, and I'll tell you what I can do?" Chet nodded. "Yeah, that seems like a good idea." Good, good. I think we're making real progress here. What if, and I'm just thinking out loud, I could figure out some way for you to keep in contact with your manager's daughter?" Chet felt a flutter in his heart as he imagined himself communicating with Beatrix from space. "Like video?" he asked. "Can alien technology do video?" He liked the idea of Beatrix seeing his physical progression as he went from green to seasoned. Their conversations would be awkward at first, but Chet figured they would draw closer over time. His being in space would give them something to discuss. "Oh, Chet, this alien tech is so beyond me that I couldn't begin to describe its capabilities, but I'll warn you that intergalactic communication is slow and unreliable." He tapped his empty glass. "Let's agree to this. You'll sign, and I'll do some brainstorming to see what I can come up with. I have a few loose ends to tie up anyway." His eyes narrowed. "Just out of curiosity, do you consider her trustworthy?" Chet didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said. Doubt crept into his mind once the word left his lips. Chet suspected that Steve might disagree. He swallowed and tried to bite his tongue. He failed. "Well, I do anyway," he added. "And I value your opinion, Chet. We can't have her leaking anything to her congressional representative." Mr. Krautwasser chuckled. "I'll do some investigating, but don't tell her anything. Now then." He scribbled something on the back of the contract and scooted the pen and paper toward Chet. "It's your turn." Chet liked the compromise, but he worried that the CEO would chat with Steve, who might tell a few stories about that damned girl. He decided to accept the risk. "Should I read it first?" "You should read everything you sign, but here's my synopsis. You agree to be the intergalactic face of Burger Zone, with all its implications. To put it bluntly, I own your ass. Pardon my language. Normally, I would have a team of lawyers fussing over this, and they would return with a 20-page document full of places to initial or sign or soak up a pool of your blood. But I'm the only lawyer involved in this operation, and I hate it when things are longer than they need to be." The CEO unfolded the contract. "In this case, we have one page, a line for your signature, and only a single circle, where I'm asking you to press a drop of your blood." "Wait, what?" Chet asked. He looked up and saw that the old man had withdrawn a razor blade. "Allow me," said the CEO. In a motion faster than Chet could have anticipated, the CEO grabbed Chet's left hand, sliced open the tip of Chet's thumb, and pressed the wound to the paper. Chet didn't think to fight until it was over. "Now, wasn't that easier than the both of us sitting around and waiting for you to cut your own skin? Over and done with, and now we can part ways once you sign." The old man's suit looked a tad disheveled. He withdrew a bandage and set it on the table. The CEO stood and smoothed his jacket. "Don't look so concerned. We need your DNA to purchase your access token. Now for the easy part. Sign." Chet supposed he understood, but his animal side felt violated. As he peeled the bandage and wrapped it around his thumb, he realized that he was angry. "I hope it doesn't get infected," Chet mumbled. The contract was a single dense page. The CEO had covered everything during his synopsis except for one last point appended to the bottom. It read, "If Burger Zone finds itself in a position where it needs to shut the operation down, all communication and support will be severed." Chet felt a chill come over him. He flipped the page and read the CEO's fine scribble. The addendum read, "Also, I promise to help Mr. Eubanks find love." And then Chet felt better. He signed the contract.